What's up, heroes? I just finished watching Darling in the Franxx episode 16, the one we've been waiting 2 weeks for. Yeah, that one. Finally here, and what an episode it was. Even though it was slice of life, there was a lot of foreshadowing and dark undertones of things to come. A lot of really subtle hints and some really strong themes that were discussed in that episode, or shown to the viewer rather, and we're going to discuss that in this. So my review, I can make it really quick. My review of this episode was freaking amazing. It was a great episode, but I don't want to just review this episode. I want to go into detail about all of the really important things that we need to discuss, the really interesting stuff. So I got some notes I took while I was watching the episode. I also have some collective thoughts from the Darling for Discord, which I'll go into after my notes, but I'm going to start with my own notes, and then I'll go into the Darling for Discord thoughts as a whole. So yeah, I'm going to go bullet point by bullet point discussing these really important things, and be sure to leave me your thoughts in the comments below on all the stuff as well. Obviously, this is some interesting stuff that we're going to talk about, and I look forward to seeing what you guys have to say about it. I'm going to get a sip of coffee, and we'll get right into it here. All right, so we have a new opening, which I'm going to discuss after my main breakdown of the episode, and then I'll also discuss like the Darling for Discord stuff. But here's my first note. So we have a 1 month time skip, about 1 month. It opens with the Beast Prince novel again, more Jaune Bird references. They're really driving that Jaune Bird thing home to us. Honestly, I feel like it's a little bit overboard at this point. It's like, yeah, we get the reference, guys. You don't need to keep referencing it again. The Beast Prince novel is nice, though, because, like I said, they reference the Jaune Bird all the time now, but the Beast Prince novel, they haven't really referenced since we first heard about it, so that's cool that they bring that back. Camera is looking over the Rune Squad 13 plantation. Ape says the parasite reserves are at 60%, so almost half the parasites have been destroyed. 60% remain. Ringhorny is being constructed on, and it's at its final phase. By the way, Ringhorny is a in real life at least, it's North mythology for the name of the ship that the god Balder uses, and it's described as the greatest of all ships. Ape then gives a final warning and says that there is no need for 2 keys, and they also mention a Calaxasaur princess who we see in the opening and also at the very end of this episode. But the opening, I mean the new opening animation. She's in there. And also at the end of this episode, we see her too. And on that same note, right before we see her, 02 gives a strange look. Again, we get this connection with 02 and her sensing Calaxasaur. Squad 13 is in the dark, only knowing that food will be delivered once a week. They don't really know what happened and why they're MIA. Parasites pray to Papa before eating as usual, but 02 abstains. Aside from that, though, 02 is acting a lot more happy and innocent. We get a scene with the girls bathing, and 02 notices that Miku's hair is turning gray. So there is definitely this problem with parasites aging more rapidly than adults, even though we still don't know what's wrong with the adults, and something definitely is wrong with them. I mean, a lot of them are mechanically augmented. A lot of them are just, they're not normal like adults in our world. So grain of salt and all that. Anyways, Dr. Franxx tells Nana and Hachi not to intervene with Squad 13 and that the project will be ruined if they do. Nana objects, standing up for the parasites, and so we get that there is a test going on, and Nana and Hachi are still alive, but they are told not to have contact with Squad 13. So what's up with that? Nana shows pain after the call, like she doesn't understand why Dr. Franxx is making them stay so distant. I can theorize on this somewhat. I think maybe Dr. Franxx is having the parasites feel like they are abandoned by the rest of the adults. Not like fully abandoned, like we don't want anything to do with you guys anymore, but like the adults are kind of letting them do their own thing because it's going to let Squad 13 grow closer. And we see that they are growing closer. They're fishing together, they're cooking together, they're reading together. All the stuff, they're relying on each other now, the stuff that they used to have caretakers for. So it's getting the squad to continue to grow closer and closer and closer. Now that's one theory. Second theory is this is just standard procedure when a squad loses the plantation that they are told to protect. Maybe any squad that loses a plantation goes through this. But I think the first theory is more likely because of how Squad 13 has already been treated. It just makes sense. We find out Goro has also developed a fever similar to Ikuno some while back called Child's Fever. So we see Miku's hair turning gray. We see Goro and Ikuno getting this Child's Fever thing. Though Ikuno got rid of hers. So there's probably a connection to the YBC and this aging and whatnot. 02 and Hero are content with not fighting and living peacefully. And then we get some foreshadowing for a possible demise of 02. Unfortunately, she's happy about Hero saying that her hair is the same as the sakura tree. She gets a nice smile. And then right when she's like thinking about it, Ikuno dumps a bunch of water on her head. It's all an innocent scene, but it's interesting timing, and the timing is what's important for foreshadowing. As 02 is in this nice thoughts, thinking to herself about, potentially having a happy life with Hero, she snapped right out of it with this cold water that's dumped on her. So I think that's foreshadowing right there for some trouble ahead. Ichigo gives a nice scene wanting the best for 02 and Hero, and she seems to be very understanding now, thanks to Goro. I mean, it was Goro who kind of spurred this all. Basically, Goro saved the whole team, dude. The whole team was falling apart, and Goro saved them all. Also, because of Goro, dude, we got that new form of Strelizia, and we got that whole victory. Like, the whole battle was kind of won. Dude, Goro carried not only the whole squad, but the whole war in a sense. That whole battle in a sense. The war's still going. The battle was won, but mostly because Goro let Hero meet with 0-2. So that's freaking awesome. Goro is a good dude. Zoram says, why do we have to pray to Papa if we did everything ourselves? Interesting line. He's right. I mean, they always pray to Papa before they eat, but they've always had caretakers doing all the stuff for them. This time, they did everything themselves. Zoram is questioning, why do we have to still pray to Papa if we're taking care of ourselves now? Interesting. Futoshi is eating and then throwing it up. The whole dinner table scene was nice, and then it took a dark turn when that happened. So Futoshi is having problems holding food down. Miku's hair is turning gray. This child fever thing is a thing. So basically, parasites have a short life. Squad 13 might be approaching that latter part of their lifespans. And we'll see how that plays out, but that's obviously a big problem. Kids are deviating from the Papa brainwashing, as said above. After dinner, the kids talk about the limit on their lives as Frankxx pilots. So there you go. They're even thinking about it too. 0-2 just watches them, distancing herself from the group. So again, this is symbolism that is really important. This is why I take notes on this stuff, and that's why I'm reviewing the episode in this way. Instead of just going, talking about the whole episode as a whole, I'm only going to really important parts that we need to discuss, like this scene here. It's just too interesting that 0-2 would separate herself from the group when this whole episode she's been involved with the group and, getting up close with some of them. But this time during this talk, she's standing far back away like the old 0-2 was, arms crossed, looking a little dark. I don't think she's limited in the same way these other parasites are. I think 0-2 could easily outlive them. And she's remembering that she is not the same as them. Even though she wishes she was, or maybe not, she's not the same either way. Goro has been writing non-Anhachi letters, and they don't reply. This must be part of the experiment that Dr. Frank set forth. The experiment of pretending to abandon, and again, I'm using abandon rather loosely here. It's not that they're just straight up abandoning them. It's that they want to distance themselves with Squad 13 to see how Squad 13 develops when they're left alone to fend for themselves, because it's going to get them closer. At least that's what the adults think, and indeed that's what's happening. So Nan and Hachi are getting, they're not even accepting those letters, so I don't know what that means. Are they getting the letters and not replying, or are they literally just like declining to even receive them? Interesting lines there. Doesn't really matter one way or the other though. Point is, they're not writing back. Hero goes on to talk about the accomplishments alone. So it must be the case that Dr. Franxx is letting them grow closer and making them feel abandoned by the adults. Okay, so what I just said, exactly. Because Hero does go on to talk about the accomplishments that they've made alone. For example, they have got fish, they have made dinner themselves, they've been taking care of themselves fine, and it's bringing them closer. Hero acknowledges all that. So Dr. Franxx's plan is working. Now, again, like I said earlier, in my notes, it's here again, but I already mentioned this. Is this something special to Squad 13 or an experiment whenever a squad loses their plantation? The two theories, again, I'm reiterating, I think the first one's more likely. It's a special thing to Squad 13. Hero says there is more to their lives than just being Frankxx pilots. Squad 13 smiles and cries. Sad, man, sad. They definitely can have a normal life, but based on their makeup and what they are, they're literally limited biologically. It's sad, man. Crying made Futoshi hungry. Emotion is key to becoming more than a parasite. That's what I got out of that. And, we've seen throughout the show that, indeed, emotion is key to becoming more than just a parasite. Squad 13 is different than the others because of this. 0-2 draws from her memory of the picture book, and Hero says, isn't the picture book sad, though? 0-2 says being human isn't about appearances, it's about emotions and experiences. Again, like I just said above, the key to becoming more than a parasite, the key to becoming human, is through emotions and life experiences. That's why the adults, the true humans of the show, don't even seem that human, because they are locked in a plantation their whole lives. They barely get to experience anything interesting. It's the same thing day in, day out, their whole lives. They're just controlled, and they're just surviving. They're not really living. They're not even talking about, like, some of them don't even talk to each other. They barely experience emotions. Squad 13 shows more emotions than the adults do. And they're supposed to be parasites, not human. So there's this cool parallel that's been going on throughout the show since it started, basically, where the parasites show more humanity than the adults do, and they're supposed to be the real humans. Specifically Squad 13 when I'm referring to the parasites. And this reminds me of episode 1, the scene where 0-2 says she finds humanity profoundly beautiful. And last episode, in episode 15, Hero quoted that, which was awesome. So Hero and 0-2 getting that nice parallel together. But then we get some nasty foreshadowing near the end. for this episode. Now, there's some collective thoughts from the Darliford Discord. Shout out to 021 on the Darliford Discord for bringing this stuff together. Let's see what he had to say about this episode. So, I want to just, before I get into this, I want to mention that I might be repeating myself at this point because I'm going to look at someone else's bullet points of this. So, surely some things will overlap. So, there's going to be me repeating myself somewhat because I'm sure our thoughts are not that different. So you don't need to watch this part if you don't want, but if you are eager for more Darlifra discussions, keep watching here. Just warning ahead of time that there's probably going to be some repetition because I'm going through someone else's notes, and I also took notes. So surely there's going to be a correlation, right? So by 021, Ape is beginning construction on a purpose around the Grand Crevice, with multiple cranes surrounding it. There is a surviving plantation that didn't participate on the suicide mission since it's already been disabled. The remnant of the layman class still exists, but with the cores removed and taken by the hand. Plantation 13 has been decimated and only left the main trunk and Mistleton itself. Thus, Nana and Hachi survived the aftermath. Yes, they're cool. 02, rasp her horns and chunking in the normal size. Yep, okay. So that was the prologue, and then he goes to cover the opening, and this is one of my favorite parts of what he did, in my opinion, because the opening is really cool. And I saw he did a pretty good job on this, so I actually didn't take notes on the opening myself. But I can go into more detail in another video if I want. But here's what he has to say. 02 falls down with an important person in mind behind her, starting from Werner, Alpha, Papa, Vice, Nana, and finally Hachi, indicating that they'll become an important aspect of the story by individual as it progresses. The Bob, I don't know what he means by that, holds 02 with both hands. It usually has the meaning of supporting someone by the gesture, but to remind someone that the hand is based on the Klaxor, there might be a glitter of a chance that the Klaxor might support 02 for a purpose in mind, which is rebellion. Obviously, you guys know, if you've been watching my videos, I support a rebellion arc thoroughly. I've been talking about that for like a month or so. 02 grows a projection of the left wing. The left is the side of the pistol in the Frankxx para capacity, most likely representing the left wing of the Jaune Bird and Hero having the right wing. So that's, pretty obvious Jaune Bird foreshadowing there. But again, it's always good to look at that. Like I said at the beginning of this video, they're really shoving that reference down our throats, but it's a cool one. Cue the partners for 13th Squad, but with Hero being alone in the middle of them. They are running and wearing their respective Frankxx suits that symbolizing their journey to live and fight with Frankxx. Who are they fighting for and heading towards the journey of the unknown? Cue Mitsuru with new hair foreshadowing. When Hero and 02 kiss, he flapped a large bird wing, blue wing. The right wing that complements 02's left wing. Again, more Jaune Bird stuff. And then more bird stuff too. A lot of birds flying to the sky. This time for the Squad 13 to grow up and release from the bird cage, which is indicated to be a Mistleton. The Nines reappear again, this time with their Nines Frankxx and looking lively and full-fledged if they are preparing a plan and something in particular for someone, be it the 13th or their common enemy, the Klaxors below there. The Klaxor Queen, who is not a queen, I mean, it was stated to be a Klaxor princess in the show. So the Klaxor princess, I'm going to say, comes next after the Nine. She wears a crown and has a single long blue-colored horn. Has the same hair as 02 in their childhood, white. The most notable aspect visible from her is a set of spider legs behind her, showing her biological change of being a part of the humanoid Klaxor. What's behind the Klaxor? Something largely representing a great big Strelezia. So, that's what he had to say about the prologue. Let's see what he had to say about the episode 16 itself. Two members of Ape Council are absent from the summit. They appear to be discussing the development of their ongoing project, the Ringorni. So I actually didn't notice that. So that's really cool that he pointed that out. I didn't notice that two members of Ape were missing. I'm going to be honest with you guys. There's been an activity around Grand Crevice. Following the cranes stood up around it, and their cargo planes spotted flying across the man-made black wall. We've already talked about that a bit. Their invisible caretakers are nowhere to be seen and are probably killed during the strike. We talked about that. The caretakers being gone for Squad 13. Goro received a paper on the ground with a pile of boxes and jerry cans. Like that, Plantation 13 is still receiving supplies from afar. Well, we are told that they are receiving rations once a week, so that's what that's all about. 02 is being cherished after the opening, being cherished after the opening, be nice to everyone, even Ikuno. Okay, so again, we've kind of already talked about that and the fact that 02 is warming up to everybody, but at the same time, there's that parallel where she is distancing herself when they're talking about their lifespan. So, yeah. Since the characters are not there to cook any more food, they have to consume the rations. 02 didn't pray as always when the others prayed for Papa before eating breakfast. Futoshi is having a diet. I forgot to mention that. I guess that could be important, but I don't know. It seems like it's a diet he's not doing by choice. It's just his body's kind of doing this to him. Even after the attack, the main power supply has been destroyed, but the caretakers can still communicate with the doctor who's left the plantation to somewhere before the attack. They have backup power unit for emergency call. Okay. Nana urgently asked for the situation report, but the doctor just shrugged it off. Goro is wondering their reason to fight and their reasons to ride in Frankxx. Cue the ops running scene. Mitsuru is still thinking about Hero, even after this far, but Kokoro calmed him down, making him blush briefly for a moment until she kissed him And then she ran away, which is the most important part of that scene, in my opinion, the fact that she ran away. And it just goes to show that parasites, even though they're developing emotions and getting the hang of it, it still feels different and like not right to them. They're still getting used to things. Hero and 02 stood below the sakura tree and talking about something, probably their relationship. The girls are having onsen. Got him. Miku, oh my. Okay, I don't know what he meant by onsen, but I think it's a joke. I think he's talking about the bathing scene. Miku is showing signs of white hair, similar to what 090 had during the Grand Crevice battle. The cause is still unknown. So we are also already talked about that. So like I said, guys, before I went into the Discord thoughts, I told you that there would be a lot that probably paralleled my own thoughts, and there would be some repetition. Unfortunately, it seems like that was mostly repetition. But he did mention some cool stuff, most notably the ape thing with two members of ape not being there. That's something I didn't notice, like I already said, so I'm glad that he pointed that out. Thank you. For the most part, though, pretty much the same kind of stuff we talked about, so I think I can wrap this up here. We've gone over all the important things, and man, that was actually a lot of important stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Leave me your thoughts down below. I'm going to be going over my notes when I'm done with this video and thinking of ideas for theories. Just to reiterate, I still have some theories coming up. Actually, 3 main theories coming up. Blue Oni theory on the ending of this show and what the Claxx are. Basically a theory bringing everything together. And then another theory, the same kind of thing, bringing everything together, but it's going to be a theory that's already known to the public, and it's a leak from Japan, supposed to be the official ending. I find it questionable, though, but I'm still going to cover it because it's going to be fun to talk about, and I'm curious to know what you guys think about that. So leave me your thoughts on this episode down below in the comments. I'll take a look. I'll get back to you, and I will catch you next time.